Monday council meeting, and we're going to get a little bit of a legislative update today, and let's jump right into it. Linda, you're on. I see. I've got to jump off for a few minutes to take another meeting, so you may have to work to conclude this, but at any rate, hopefully I'll be able to jump back on. But at any rate, Scott and Jen, let's go ahead and get started. Meeting's to order.
All right, well, thanks for joining today. The purpose and intent of this, to get everyone back together, was to go over the bills that made the first funnel last week. It was a pretty intense 2-week period, and they certainly moved a lot of bills at the Capitol. So we will give an overview of what we're registered on that is post funnel. And I'm going to have Doug jump in as well, since he's up there with the lawmakers getting the expertise every day. So first, our priorities. You see these every week: TIF, ATE, and backfill. TIF is in Ways and Means, so that was a funnel-proof bill regardless of what happened. That bill is passed out of the subcommittee in the House. There's no bill in the Senate. This bill is a bad bill for us, as we're registered opposed. Scott, I don't know if you want to go into any specifics on how this would impact current TIF agreements, how this may shape our program.
Yeah, and we've had some of these discussions before, but essentially the 20-year sunset for the economic development TIFs would be applied to the slum and blight, pulling those back as well, and putting a sunset on the slum and blight TIFs.
Any questions with that? Doug, have you heard any rumblings on what might happen if they're going to continue to pursue the process, or if it's going to be like the last 7-8 years where the bill gets to committee and dies?
Would be my expectation. They're going to continue talking about it, but the bill's still going to have some issues. The bill as articulated, as you guys know, the bill as written is different than it was articulated. It starts that 20-year clock upon the effective date of the bill. So if you have a 20-year TIF that's in year 18, you get another 20 years before they start the 10-year phase out. So that's a new wrinkle for everybody to deal with, since this bill was last filed, because it's identical to a Tom Sands bill that was filed in 2015. So I think there'll be some more discussion on it. Since it's a Ways and Means bill, it's not going to go away. The bigger watch is going to be whether or not this is something that shows up in a larger property tax reform bill that we know that the Senate's been working on, but they're being very closely held with their what they're going to put into that bill. Hard to figure out what they would do to reform property taxes outside of, say, local governments can't spend more money, which doesn't seem to work. And they ran into that buzzsaw in 2018. So waiting to see what their new concepts are. Probably something on mental health funding, but we're watching for some additional changes on TIF and backfill.
And that's several weeks away yet, Doug?
Yes, can't imagine they're going to release anything until at least after the REC. The REC meets a week from Friday. So probably see something a week after that as far as the property tax bill.
This is Linda, but I think it's really important that we don't let these TIFs sunset, because, you know, the blighted areas, they're the ones that need the help more than anything. you know, we've all got old pieces that are sitting there that need to be, that are in an urban renewal district that still haven't had anything happen to them, that we keep hoping that somebody will come along and TIF would help them.
That is absolutely correct, Councilwoman Westergaard, and that's why it is one of our priorities to defend the rules that exist today, allowing for a longer development time.
And really, I mean, it's like the Eastgate area that was deemed an urban renewal area, so it would be eligible for TIF. If that sunset, if it went away, couldn't we just come back and redo it, or would we be done?
You can always come back and restart a TIF district, but you would be starting from that newer valuation. And so essentially you would have to do that with every project.
Okay.
And that's why the slum and blight is different, because you're oftentimes revitalizing an entire area that may have multiple owners with different ideas about timing to actually develop. So, you know, that's what's different oftentimes than one project.
Okay. I think it's really important that they don't get this passed.
Right. I think what's a little bit helpful is that the TIF tool is being used more and more in rural settings and smaller community settings, and even counties have the ability to TIF. So I think what they're finding is there's more and more success stories out across the state.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else on TIF? All right, next is ATE. The bill in the House died. The bill in the Senate, the Brad Zahn bill that we see every year, with the exception of he's now allowed for Cedar Rapids to keep their ATE on this curve. That bill is out of Senate Judiciary and is waiting for debate. I would fully expect that bill to pass the Senate, as it does every year. And then our work will be in the House finding members to oppose the bill and hopefully kill it as we do in the past. I think one thing we'll have to watch closely this year is how our potential federal funds from the last stimulus package will play into this, as we'll be getting increased revenue from that. And we won't be able to fall back on this is going to hurt our budget. So we'll see if that bill plays into this one. Any questions on ATs? All right, backfill is the final priority bill. Doug touched on this a little bit. If we're likely to see something, it'll be in a full tax plan. And so we'll continue to monitor what the Senate comes out with. We know that in the past, the Senate has wanted to look at a phase out of the backfill, but the House really didn't have an appetite to do so. So we'll continue to monitor any full tax bills that pop out of the Senate. Doug, anything else to add there?
No, it's just wait and see. We feel good about comments from the House and from the governor's office, but let's see how it, if and when it gets rolled into something else.
All right, bills, we support the Brad Zahn marijuana bill that passed out of subcommittee and committee in judiciary last week and made the funnel and is now waiting for debate. Doug, any sense of whether that will actually be pushed off the floor, or the opposition in the Senate caucus?
Oh, I think that'll actually come up. I think that bill's got some life in it. We'll probably see it in the House. Last year it ran into issues in the House, not the Senate.
Any questions on that one?
Has the governor said anything about these marijuana bills? Or she stayed quiet?
I have not read any comments from the governor on these pieces of legislation.
Yeah. Okay.
That would not be surprising that she would wait to weigh in on those until it's pending on her desk. These are not things that she's come out and said, these are my affirmative bills.
What were the issues in the House last time around? And is there anything we can do to be helpful in getting this on bill through the House?
Issues were basically that's virtually legalizing marijuana, and that caucus is still edgy from the bills 3 or 4 years ago on expanding medical marijuana. There's still some folks there with reservation. So it's getting this clarified language and working through it over there. You have public safety chair and judiciary chairs who aren't overly excited about legalizing marijuana, but Chairman Klein was floor manager of the expansion of medical marijuana. So there's an angle there. It's just the appetite for the rest of the caucus.
Mayor, if I could, Doug, I assume Senator Zahn knows that we're supportive of his bill, and
Yes.
And we would do anything we can to help him, as he
Yes.
often has good ideas. Thank you.
All right. Next bill that passed the funnel is the revitalization areas. I think we've talked about this every week. So we'll continue to follow that. The governor's housing bill has passed in both House and Senate and made it through the funnel. So that bill is working congruently through the process together. This would greatly help expand our workforce housing and do other things, as you can see in the paragraph. Doug, any insight on this bill?
It's working its way through the system. It's in Ways and Means while they're dealing with the floor action on all these other bills. Since it's funnel proof and out of committee, they're waiting on it. Have heard nothing in opposition thus far.
Any questions on the housing bill or revitalization area? All right. Other bills we're following, the rental voucher bill. That bill has been passed off the Senate floor and is sitting in, well, the House bill also passed, so they'll probably bring those out together and substitute. But we are working in the House right now to try and find allies to potentially and hopefully defeat this bill. I think we're making progress and we'll continue to do so. Accidental disability. Jeff, I'm going to actually have you talk about this and how this is different than the other 411 bill that we saw earlier.
I don't know. I don't know how different it is. It's still a very expensive and costly bill. It actually, the way that we look at the bill, the argument has been that, oh, it's just, kind of extending a work comp like benefit, but we think it's doubling up because while the benefits are somewhat different, they're certainly richer on the 411 side. So our concern is that it's could be quite a costly bill to the city, and there's no revenue or anything else to pay for it. So it's just an expense to the city, and frankly, it shifts costs that would be paid by Medicare to the property taxpayer. So.
So as with the other 411 bill, it has the support in the House and has some hurdles to climb in the Senate. There are senators over there that have disagreement with how the bill's drafted. We do have amendments ready to go if the bill gets to the Senate. So we are strategically trying to figure out how to best insert ourselves into that bill. And that is a bill that the League of Cities and the Metro Coalition is also. And then lastly, multi-residential property. We've talked about this in the past as well. This bill was signed by the governor, and we were successful in getting an amendment to ensure that our Schmids were unimpacted by the new language. Any questions on any of the bills before you, or any bills that we haven't presented today?
I mean, I'd be curious a little more detail. I know you said we're working on the rental voucher and building opposition. And I just like to get in the weeds a little more, so I'd be happy to do that on a separate call. But I'm curious if we have folks identified who. I mean, there were a couple coming out of committee who had reservations. I know we've specifically talked about a couple others who have reservations, but I'd be curious if there are any folks that it might be helpful for me to personally reach out to try and give them a little more perspective on the importance of our non-discrimination ordinance and its impacts.
Councilman,
Go ahead.
I was just going to recommend maybe you and Scott and Doug and I get on a separate call and strategize the best plan for that.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Yep, that certainly works, but I just wanted to make it clear that I want to help do more on this bill if possible.
We appreciate that. All the help we can get is welcome. Any others? I know that we were watching the animal breed specific bill that died. Alex, were there any others that we were opposed to that didn't make the funnel?
I think the dog breed bill, but I can't think of others off the top of my head. I could take a look though.
And then Jen, as far as the rest of the schedule, there's a second funnel, right?
March 5th. I'm sorry, not March 5th, April 5th.
Okay. And as a reminder, it needs to be through what committees and floor at that point?
It has to be out of its corresponding committee in the opposite chamber. So if you have a bill, if you have a Senate file, the Senate file has to be out of its committee in the House by the second funnel.
Okay.
But that does not apply to leadership bills, concurrent resolutions, ways and means bills, appropriations bills, and rules nullifications.
I would say, looking at this list, all of them are second funnel proof except ATEs, marijuana, and revitalization areas.
Revitalization areas are, I'm sorry, scratch that. Both the governor's housing bills went to ways and means, so they're all funnel proof.
And rental vouchers. And
Rental vouchers just funnel proof.
accidental disability will go into ways and means, so that will. Okay, any other questions?
Jen, this is Bill. This came up in a conversation last month, and you've answered it before out here in Beaverdale. What about this robot delivery? I'm sure it was aimed at Amazon, but what do we know about that?
Doug or Alex, do you have insight on that? I know the league was following it.
The only entity in support of it is Amazon. It's 100% an Amazon bill. They're trying to create some uniformity across the country on it. The League of Cities was lead on it, working on some amendments to maintain as much local control as they could. The bill actually has a subcommittee today at 4 o'clock on the Senate side. It's out of the House.
So it's got a pretty good chance of passing?
Would not, well, it has a good chance of passing. We've not been directly following it. The city has not said we had concerns with it, but the subcommittee that it's assigned to is not necessarily a slam dunk. It's this the senator leading that subcommittee maintained local control for scooters. So looking at this, if he sees problems with local control, there's a good chance that he would raise objection.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it.
Well, I don't know if the mayor's back on, but if that's everything, are we ready to adjourn or is there more?
I think that's all we have. I know we wanted to provide a general update for you, but we're going to do that via email. So the House is supposed to pick up a second this afternoon.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You can
Scott, I'll turn it over to you. Do you have any last words that you'd like to share?
No, I appreciate Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, well, it doesn't look like the mayor's on. So with that, do we need a motion to adjourn or can we just adjourn? Then let's adjourn. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.